Yeah, I mean, 70 plays in just about 60 minutes. No one got injured. We took the ball away a couple times on defense, made some stops. We made a long field goal. The offense, I thought you saw a lot of guys make plays. I thought you saw a lot of quarterbacks show that they can function. So I was pleased with it.
Not ideal, but I mean, coming indoors, at least you got the work in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the mentality from our players was they wanted to play in the rain up until the lightning, and then the lightning strikes are still going on right now. And our big thing was we don't cancel things, we don't move things. We're playing at 12, we're playing at 12, and so that was the guys' mentality. And so I liked the way they approached it. I liked the way they approached it. So that's why we have a great facility like this. You can come inside, and family, friends, media, recruits, everybody was able to get here and watch it. And the guys can show off all the work they put in.
The young QBs, Zeno and Bohannon. What did you see from them this spring?
That they, and I'd throw Preston Weeks in here too, that they can function. I mean, that's the first step. They all have talent, but the hardest part is learning how to function within the offense, handling this, handling that. Not a lot of spring games. I bet you if you watch them on all the networks, they're going to have the quarterbacks be live. And I think you saw some toughness from Gary. He got hit a bunch of times, but he made plays and he moved the ball down the field. And Zeno got hit a couple times, but he moved the ball down the field. And same thing with Preston. So I feel really good about the mindset and where that position's laying out.
Why is it important that they go live in the spring game?
Because the first time they get hit, I don't want it to be in McLean Stadium in front of a full crowd. I want to see are they gonna stand in there and make the throws when they know they're going to get hit? Are they going to get back up? And I think it brings a sense of reality to our offensive line. Are we really protecting our backs? And there's been a lot of times when Gary's been live where he's gone about 80. Where they can't really tackle him. It's one thing when you touch him. So, but it's part of who those guys are. And so Charlie's played a lot of football, so we don't really do it with him. But those other guys, they haven't had a chance to play yet. So I feel like they're more game ready after this spring. And the opportunities to go live than before. I haven't really done that a lot in my career, but we've done it this spring.
How important is it for Rhule Morgan to have stepped up this spring for you with what you need on the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean he's gone from a guy that was like kind of trying to figure out where he's at and who he is to he's been a really good starter for us. He's done a lot of really good things for us, and so I like where his mindset is, and won the most improved award. A lot of guys don't want to go over and learn how to play center, and I think he did it willingly. So he can play tackle, he can play center. He's got flexibility for us, and I think we have 8 to 10 guys right now that can go in and be starting offensive linemen. So I think it'll be a heck of a race, and we'll have lots of depth.
Matt, what have you seen from Bohannon's growth from last spring to where he is now?
Night and day. He's become a passer. I mean, he's a dynamic. We always knew we could put him in the game, and he could run zone read and throw nakeds and RPOs. We knew that, but he's become a passer, and that to me is the biggest thing. Is we want our quarterbacks to be able to go win the game in 2 minutes, to be able to go win the game on 3rd and 7. And Gary has really developed as a passer, pocket presence, getting through progressions. So I'm really, really pleased with how far he's come.
Coach, what did you see from your defense today? What did you like about your defense today?
They just played and competed. I thought they got a lot of pressure on the quarterback, got a couple turnovers, got a fumble, got that pick at the end. And so, they're not really blitzing every play or anything like that. But I like their toughness. The biggest thing is guys like Jordan Williams and Blake Lynch. They practiced every practice all spring. James Lynch is becoming a dominant player. Lockhart, made the most improved player on defense. I think he's been a real piece for us. So I just like the depth we're building on defense. And the biggest thing we have to do on defense is just tell them to get that mindset that we're going to put people away. We don't want to have the mindset that hey, we just have to hold them under this and we'll win. We want to go out and win the game on defense, win the game on offense, win the game on special teams, and really work together, collaborate.
Sounds like you're comfortable with your depth right now on the offensive line with, you said, 8 to 10 guys. Are you similarly comfortable with the depth on the defensive line?
Yeah, I think we have enough depth on defensive line. The biggest issue to me is they might be above the line, but how far above the line are they? On offense and defense, are we elite or are we all just good enough? And that'll really come to the summer to me. If we can make the growth over the summer that some guys have made, like Rob Sall, I thought had a great spring. And but you have guys like Marge that are just starting to see that they can do it, and I need them to come into the fall knowing that they can do it, being game ready. And so that's the challenge. But this was really a great step. I liked the work over the spring. I liked the work over the winter, and now we'll get ready for the summer.
Matt, you got a lot of practices in, particularly this week. Did you feel like you got everything done that you wanted to do this spring?
Yeah, I thought this week was a game week. First time I've done it this way, and I liked the guys' attention to detail. We're still somewhat of a young-minded team. We're trying to mature You know, and what I mean by that is you can't do what you're asked to do when it makes sense to you. You have to also do it when it doesn't make sense to you. You have to be a part of a team. And so we're not quite there yet. We're getting closer, and I'm just going to have to really count on some of our older players to push us over the hump. You know, for them to understand. As I told them, you know, I spent 2 years trying to explain everything to them. You know, this is why we do this is why we do that. And it's sin mission from here now. It's time to grow up as a football team, grow up as a program, and have a championship mindset where we attack everything. And that's got to come from me. It's got to come from our older players, and I think it will.
Matt, it looked like Taekwon was making a lot of plays out there. Has that been pretty typical of the spring?
Yeah, you know, Taekwon had some soreness in his leg, stuff from the season early in the camp, and fought through it. And you know, he's a talented young playmaker. I really like that group. I thought R.J. Sneeds had as good a spring. Fleeks has had a bunch of great plays, played at tailback and at receiver. Didn't play him at tailback at all today, but you know, just we have some dynamic pieces, and just as I said, just trying to grow them up and get them to be mature, game-ready football players. Not mature people, but as football players.
Coach, third year, how have you changed your approach to spring ball over the first two?
We work harder now. Yeah, I don't know if it's my approach as much as their approach. I mean, you know, I don't consider practice punishment, and I don't consider hard work punishment. And so, like we came out on Friday, 6 a.m. 2 injured guys showed up at 5:59 for 6 a.m. practice yesterday. One guy wasn't here that's injured. So, you know, I sent everybody home. I went to Magnolia Table and had biscuits. And the players came out and they ran their own practice, and then we brought them back at 3 o'clock and we practiced. And so I told our players, like, the standard is a standard. You know, to me, like, I'm just trying to up the standard every year. And I think going from one win to a bowl win has shown them that, like, hey, is a standard for last year going to be good enough? No, it can't be good enough. You know, you always have to improve what you're doing. And so I've tried to up the standard this year. And I thought, hey, that's, you know, you asked me about the quarterbacks being live and all that. Like, we're gonna keep pushing where we're at. I'm proud of the fact that all of our injured players played flag football this morning with a couple teams from Waco. They, you know, and it was competitive. I mean, the mindset, I just wanted to keep the standard, to keep improving and being tougher. And what you'll see is, I think you'll see our players now, they're going to see a couple guys get drafted this year, and then we'll get a couple more drafted next year. And they'll see, we have got 7 guys in graduate school, we have guys graduating. We'll just keep seeing the results keep growing if we just keep elevating our level of expectation.
What did you put on those biscuits?
I put the sausage and gravy. I had the quiche. It made me feel good to say, you know, like there was a little salad on it. And then Sravo always gets the lavender donut holes, or the lemon donut holes for the table. And I went to Cups first. The Cups doesn't open until 8:30. I didn't know that. So then we went over to Magnolia Table. But I'm on a restaurant tour.
You had a player that didn't show up, so you left?
I threw the whole team out. So I said that, you know. At the end of the day, it's like I wanted to go home yesterday. I wanted to give the coaches off. I wanted the coaches to golf yesterday afternoon before we all go on the road. I wanted to go pick my daughters up from school, which I don't get a chance to do. And but we weren't all here. We're a team. It's not just the guys hanging on the banners. It's a team. So if we're not all here on time, the day before a game, is our mindset right? So we came back that afternoon, and just, you know, trying to get 100 18 to 22-year-olds to think of it in terms of team is not easy. So, but, you know, I related back to me. I didn't want to be there at 4:30 standing outside in, you know, 90-degree heat. But that's what the team needs. And so we just have to keep elevating the standard of what we accept.
Was that person at the afternoon practice?
Oh, no, that player was not going to be around for about a week. But they'll be back after a week. You know, we all make mistakes. And, you know, it's not a big deal. I mean, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, you do something wrong, there's a consequence, move on, you know. And so, but the guys that showed up at 5:59, one of them was an older player who's hurt, and he apologized to his teammates. We're all going to be late or something at some point in our life. It's just when 3 guys don't show up, is the team at a high level? No. And so, you know, lateness is, I'm going off on tangents here. Trying to explain to our guys, we all have reasons for everything. But when, like, Vivian Rhule was born, like, I either was in the room when she was born or I wasn't, right? Like, I couldn't tell Julie, like, well, the elevator, and like, you're either there or you're not, man. And so that's why the players that come out of our program know people are going to want to draft them, because they're not going to be late. They're not going to get fined. They're going to be pros. And the guys that don't go to the NFL, that go off and work in whatever field they do, I want them to get there early and, you know, stay late. So, again, we're just trying to lead by example, and I certainly don't have it figured out, but I just think the answer I gave him was really important. Just trying to make it a higher standard every year.
What do you think of the big unveiling of the brands for all Baylor athletics?
Yeah, you know, as you guys can tell, I'm not the most fashionable person, so I don't really know. I just know like when Mims and Hasty and those guys put it on, they went nuts, you know. And I know they really like the gold one. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I just think the thing to me is I want to be a part of everyone being united and having the same look and the same brand. And I want basketball to look like baseball, to look like the university, and so I'm excited about that. And if the players like it, and if I know I talked to a couple of recruits, if they like it, then obviously that's great. It's really though more about what we do in the uniforms. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really more about what we do when we play. But I do like the fact that the kids all like it.
Winning can make average uniforms look better.
Yeah, I mean, I played at Penn State where we wore the same uniform forever, and but it was a brand, you know, and so obviously Baylor's been a leader in uniforms over the years, and now we have a unified look, and I think it's symbolic for really, and that's why we did the thing this morning. Like, I want this football program to be a part of Waco. I want the kids in the elementary schools. I want the kids out in the Woodway Little Leagues, up in Belmont. I want all the kids in this city to identify with our players, and I want us to be a team of the university, but of the city of Waco. And so, getting back to that, not that we're away from it, but us getting back to that, trying to unify with the university and with the city of Waco is really, really fundamentally important because we need to be Waco's team. And I know our kids are in the elementary schools. I know our kids are out here playing flag football. We're doing it. We just have to do it in a more demonstrative way.
I had a chance to ask you about the RG3 camp and the academy. How did that all kind of come about, and how important was that? I know it was important to connect with the other players, but how big was that?
When I first got the job, I called Robert, and I mentioned it to him at the like a long time ago. And the camp rules have changed. Oh, every year they've been like, it's been a big thing, right? So now the camp rules are in a way where Robert and his mother Jacqueline, who's just been amazing, reached out and said, hey, we think maybe now it's time. You know, he signed that great contract with the Ravens. It might be time to do it. And I just think it's, again, talking about unity and uniting, bringing Robert here, trying to unite all these eras of Baylor football, bringing him home and having him work with the young people that want to come to our camp. I think it's going to be an elite camp. You know, we had over 2,000 kids come to our camps last year. And you just think of that from a Baylor perspective, right? Like, how often do you have 2,000 high school kids come check out your university? And so now we're just going to add to that with an all-day quarterback camp. I'd like to get some of the other Baylor quarterbacks involved, coach, teach, recruit. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to reach out to quarterbacks all across the country, put together a great product, but most importantly, to just unite, unite Baylor football.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Coach.